Sarah Chen loved the colors. The market on Nexus Station 7 was full of bright lights and strange smells. Her mother, Dr. Elena Chen, held her hand as they walked between the stalls. Elena was a scientist who studied alien life forms. This was their first visit to the big space station. "Stay close to me, Sarah," Elena said. "There are many different aliens here. Some are very big." Sarah nodded, but her eyes were wide with wonder. She had never seen so many different creatures in one place. There were tall, thin aliens with blue skin. Others looked like giant insects walking on two legs. Some had fur like animals, but wore clothes like people. The market was busy. Aliens of all kinds bought and sold things from across the galaxy. The air smelled like spices and strange foods. Music played from somewhere, but it sounded different from human music. "Mom, look at that." Sarah pointed at a fruit stand. The fruits were purple and orange, and seemed to glow with their own light. The alien selling the fruit had green skin and 4 arms. He smiled at Sarah with a mouth full of tiny teeth. "Human child wants to try glow fruit?" he asked in broken English. "Can I, Mom?" Sarah asked. Elena smiled. "Just one small piece." The green alien cut a small piece of the purple fruit. Sarah took it and bit into it. It tasted sweet and made her tongue tingle. She laughed with delight. But as she stepped back, Sarah bumped into someone behind her. The creature towering over her was like a giant insect. It had dark green armor-like skin and 6 arms. 2 of its arms ended in sharp claws. Its eyes were black and emotionless. On its chest was a badge that showed it worked for station security. "You will watch where you step, small creature," the alien said. Its voice was cold and harsh. "I'm sorry," Sarah said quietly. She was scared now. The alien was 3 times taller than her. "Sarah, come here," Elena called. She could see her daughter was frightened, but the alien stepped in front of Sarah, blocking her path to her mother. "The small one has broken protocol. She touched me without permission. This is not allowed." "She's just a child," Elena said, walking closer. "She didn't mean any harm." The alien's name tag read, Enforcement Officer Zekthul. He looked down at Elena with the same cold stare. Ignorance is not an excuse for breaking station rules. The small one must learn proper behavior. Other aliens in the market began to stop and watch. Some moved away, not wanting to get involved. Others whispered to each other, in their own languages. "What's your name, young human?" a kind voice asked. Sarah looked up to see the green fruit seller, watching with concern. "Sarah," she answered in a small voice. Zekthul's head turned toward the fruit seller with a sharp movement. "Do not interfere with station justice, traitor." The green alien stepped back, fear in his 4 eyes. Elena moved to stand next to her daughter. "Officer," my daughter apologized. "She's only 8 years old. She doesn't understand all your rules yet." "Age does not matter. Rules are rules," Zekthul said. He reached for something on his belt. It was a long, black stick, an enforcement baton. "The small one must learn respect." "No, wait," Elena started to say. But Zekthul was already moving. The baton came down hard across Sarah's face. The sound of the impact echoed through the market, like a gunshot. Sarah flew backward from the force of the blow. Her small body hit the wall of a nearby shop with a sickening thud. She crumpled to the floor and didn't move. "Sarah!" Elena screamed. She ran to her daughter and dropped to her knees beside her. Blood was flowing from Sarah's nose and mouth. Her eyes were closed, and she wasn't responding. "You monster! She's just a baby," Elena cried, cradling Sarah's head carefully. Zekthul put his baton back on his belt without emotion. "Justice has been served. The young one will remember to follow proper protocols in the future." Elena checked for a pulse. Sarah was alive but barely breathing. The green fruit seller started to move toward them, but Zekthul stepped in his way. "Do not interfere. The matter is closed. Please," Elena begged, looking up at the other aliens watching. "My daughter needs a doctor. Someone help us." But most of the aliens looked away. They were afraid of Zekthul and his authority. A few seemed sad about what happened, but none moved to help. Elena pulled out her communication device and tried to call for medical assistance. After several minutes, a voice answered. "Medical Bay," the voice said. "My daughter has been hurt badly. She needs immediate medical care," Elena said, trying to stay calm. "What is the nature of the injury?" the voice asked. "She was struck by a security officer. She's bleeding and unconscious. Please. She's only 8 years old." There was a long pause. Was this injury the result of lawful enforcement action? Elena couldn't believe what she was hearing. Does that matter? She's a child who needs help. All injuries resulting from lawful enforcement must be processed through proper channels. You must file a complaint form and wait for authorization. "She could die while I'm filling out forms," Elena shouted. "I am sorry. Protocol must be followed." The communication ended. Elena looked down at her daughter's pale face. Sarah was getting worse. Her breathing was becoming more shallow. Elena picked up Sarah as gently as she could. The little girl felt so light, so fragile. "I'm going to get you help, baby. Mommy's going to get you help." As Elena carried Sarah toward the medical bay, she passed Zekthul again. The alien officer was making notes on a digital pad. "What are you writing?" Elena demanded. Zekthul looked at her without interest. "My report." The young human was aggressive and non-compliant. She posed a threat to station order and safety. "I took appropriate action to neutralize the threat." Elena stared at him in horror. "She's 8 years old. She bumped into you by accident." "My report is complete," Zekthul said. "You should teach your offspring proper respect for authority. Proper Rekthuls. Zekthuls. Zekthuls." With that, he walked away, leaving Elena alone with her injured daughter and the growing certainty that no one on this station would help them. 3 days had passed since the attack. Sarah Chen lay in a small room that Elena had rented on Nexus Station 7. The medical bay had finally agreed to scan Sarah, but only after Elena filled out dozens of forms. The scan showed a cracked skull and brain swelling. The station doctors said they could not treat humans because they didn't have the right equipment. Elena sat beside her daughter's bed, holding Sarah's small hand. The little girl had not woken up since the attack. Her breathing was weak, and her skin was pale. Elena had barely slept or eaten since it happened. Elena's communication device beeped. She looked at the screen and saw an incoming message from Earth. It was her brother, Colonel David Chen, of the Earth Defense Force. "Elena, I got your emergency message." David's voice was tight with anger. "How is Sarah?" "Try Essaya. Try Mark." "She's dying, David," Elena whispered, trying not to cry. "The doctors here won't help her. They say humans are too different. They don't care that she's just a child." "What about the alien who did this?" David asked. "Nothing. He wrote a report saying Sarah was dangerous. Can you believe that? An 8-year-old girl was dangerous to a creature 3 times her size." David was quiet for a moment. Elena could hear other voices in the background. "Elena, I'm sending your message to some people I know. People who might be able to help." "What people?" "People who don't like it when someone hurts our children." After the call ended, Elena didn't know that David immediately contacted his old military friends. He sent Sarah's story to veterans groups across Earth. He shared the security video that Elena had managed to get from a friendly alien trader. The video showed everything: Sarah's innocent bump, her apology, and Zekthul's brutal attack. The message spread quickly through military networks. It reached Captain Lisa Webb on her ship, The Retribution. Lisa was David's old friend from the Border Wars. She watched the video 3 times, her jaw getting tighter each time. "Marcus, you need to see this," Lisa called to her father, General Marcus Webb, who was visiting her ship. Marcus watched the video once. His face turned red with anger. "That thing hit a baby, and no one is doing anything about it," Lisa said. "The Confederation says it's an internal matter. They want Elena to file more paperwork." Marcus stood up and walked to the ship's communication system. Shepard's Watch was a secret network of former military people. They had all left official service, but they stayed in touch. Their job was to help humans in space when the government couldn't or wouldn't act. Within hours, the message had reached hundreds of people across human space: former soldiers working on mining stations, ex-Marines running cargo ships, veterans who had settled on distant colonies. All of them saw the video of Sarah Chen being attacked. Tom Bradley was fixing engines on a mining rig near the edge of human space. When he saw the message, he threw his wrench across the workshop. "Captain," he yelled, "we need to talk." Captain Rodriguez found Tom in the workshop, still angry. "Tom, what's wrong?" "They hurt a kid, Captain. Some alien cop beat up an 8-year-old girl, and nobody cares." Rodriguez took the datapad and watched the video. His expression grew dark. "Where is this place?" "Nexus Station 7. It's about 2 weeks' travel from here. How's our cargo situation?" "We finished the delivery. The ship's empty." Mina. We. Rodriguez nodded slowly. "Then we have some free time. Send a message to the other ships in this sector. Tell them we're going to Nexus Station 7. Similar conversations were happening all across human territory. Ships began changing course. Captains canceled jobs. Crews voted to take unpaid leave. The message also reached Dr. James Harrison on a medical ship near the core worlds. James had been a combat surgeon in the war. He had saved hundreds of lives under enemy fire. When he saw that a human child was dying because aliens wouldn't provide medical care, he made his decision immediately. "Change course for Nexus Station 7, he told his pilot. "Doctor, that's 3 systems away. We have patients waiting." "We have a patient dying right now," James replied. "A little girl who needs our help." On Earth, more people were getting involved. Maria Santos ran a shipping company with 12 cargo haulers. When she saw Sarah's story, she called all her captains. "I know this isn't company business," she told them during the group call, "but I'm going to Nexus Station 7. My ships are going too. Any captain who doesn't want to come can stay behind with pay." No questions asked. Every single captain volunteered to come. Meanwhile, on Nexus Station 7, Elena was trying once again to get help for Sarah. She had been to the medical bay 6 times. Each time, they told her the same thing. More paperwork was needed. "Please," Elena begged the Centaurian doctor. "She's getting worse. Her breathing is so weak now." "I understand your concern," Dr. Yithrak said in his calm voice. "But regulations exist for good reasons. We cannot provide medical care without proper authorization. She could die while you're waiting for authorization. That would be unfortunate. But rules must be followed." Elena left the medical bay feeling hopeless. As she walked back to Sarah's room, she passed Zekthul in the corridor. The alien officer looked at her with no emotion. "How is the young one?" he asked, as if he was asking about the weather. "She's dying," Elena said, tears in her eyes. "Perhaps next time she will show proper respect," Zekthul replied and continued walking. Elena realized then that no one on this station would help her daughter. The aliens didn't understand why she was so upset. To them, Sarah was just another rule breaker who got what she deserved. But Elena didn't know that help was coming. Across the galaxy, humans were angry. They were gathering their ships and their weapons. They were coming to show the aliens what happened when someone hurt a human child. The Deathworlders were on their way. 1 week after Sarah was hurt, something strange began happening in space, near Nexus Station 7. Ships were arriving. Not the usual trade vessels or passenger transports. These were different ships. Commander Vexitar was on duty in the station's control room when the first ships appeared on the long-range sensors. He was a professional security officer who had worked on many stations. He had never seen anything like this. "Sir," Operator Kilnex called from his station. "We have 5 human ships approaching from the outer rim." Vextar looked at the display. The ships were an odd mix. One looked like a mining vessel, but its hull had been reinforced with armor plating. Another appeared to be a cargo hauler, but it was broadcasting military identification codes. A third ship was clearly medical. It had the Red Cross symbol of human medicine. "What do they want?" Vextar asked. "They're requesting docking permission. They say they're here on..." More ships arrived over the next few hours. By the end of the day, there were 20 human vessels in the area. By the second day, there were 50. They came from all directions, from the core worlds, from the outer colonies, from deep space mining operations. Station Commander Yithrak called an emergency meeting. He was a diplomat who believed in peaceful solutions. This gathering of ships worried him. "What do we know about these humans?" he asked his staff. "Most of them are civilians," Intelligence Officer Mordan reported. "But our scans show many of their ships have been modified. Some have military-grade shields. Others have weapons that shouldn't be on civilian vessels. Are they threatening us?" "No, sir. They've been very polite. They request docking permission, pay their fees, and follow all traffic rules." But what? "Sir, they're not acting like normal visitors. They don't trade. They don't buy fuel. They don't go to the entertainment districts. They just dock their ships and wait." Yithrak looked at the sensor display showing all the human ships. "What are they waiting for?" Nobody had an answer. Captain Lisa Webb stood in the cargo bay of the Retribution, looking at the people who had answered the call. The bay was crowded with humans who had traveled across the galaxy. They came from every walk of life. Tom Bradley was there with 6 other miners. They all wore work clothes and had the strong hands of people who fixed machines in space. Dr. James Harrison stood with his medical team, ready to help Sarah if they could reach her. Maria Santos had brought her ship captains. Tough people who knew how to move cargo through dangerous space. But most impressive was Sergeant Major Carlos Torres. He was an old friend of Lisa's father. Torres had fought in more battles than anyone else in the room. He was retired now, but he still moved like a predator. His eyes held the cold calculation of someone who had seen too much war. "How many ships do we have?" Lisa asked. 87 as of this morning," Torres replied. "More are coming. Word has spread through every human settlement in this sector." "What kind of ships?" "Everything. Mining rigs, cargo haulers, colony defense ships, exploration vessels, even some old military ships that officially don't exist anymore." Lisa nodded. She knew that several veterans had kept their warships after leaving service. Officially, the ships had been scrapped. Unofficially, they were hidden in asteroid fields and forgotten shipyards. "What's the plan, Captain?" Dr. Harrison asked. "First, we try talking," Lisa said. "We ask them nicely to hand over the alien who hurt Sarah and let us take care of her medical needs." "And if they say no?" Tom Bradley asked. Lisa's expression hardened. "Then we show them what happens when someone hurts our children." The miners nodded grimly. They were peaceful people most of the time, but they came from Earth. On Earth, you protected your young at all costs. It was built into their bones by millions of years of evolution. Torres stepped forward. "Captain, I've been looking at the station's defenses. They have shields and some light weapons, but nothing serious. You think we can take it? Ma'am, that station was built to handle pirates and smugglers. It wasn't built to fight Deathworlders who are angry about their children. Dr. Harrison looked troubled. I don't like the idea of fighting. I'm here to save lives, not take them. Doc, sometimes you have to fight to protect the innocent, Torres said gently. That little girl is dying while these aliens play with paperwork. How many other human children will they hurt if we do nothing? On Nexus Station 7, Zekthul was reviewing security reports in his office. His supervisor, Captain Korvex, entered, looking concerned. Zekthul, we need to discuss the incident from last week. What about it? I filed my report. The matter is closed. The human ships that have been gathering, they're here because of that incident. Zekthul looked up from his work. What do you mean? Intelligence says they're all connected to the human child you. Disciplined. Many of them are former military. Zekthul made a sound that might have been laughter. Humans, they're one of the weakest species in the Confederation. Small, soft, short-lived. Sir, there are nearly 100 of their ships out there. And we have station defenses. Besides, they wouldn't dare attack us. The political consequences would destroy their membership in the Confederation. Captain Korvex wasn't convinced. Perhaps we should transfer you off the station until this situation calms down. No, Zekthul said firmly. I did my duty. I enforced station law. If these humans want to make threats, let them. They'll learn that their emotional outbursts have no power here. But even as Zekthul spoke with confidence, he felt a small chill of unease. He had heard stories about humans from other aliens. Strange stories about what they did when their families were threatened. Most aliens dismissed these stories as exaggerations. Zekthul was about to learn that the stories were not exaggerated enough. Back on the human ships, final preparations were being made. Weapons were checked. Medical supplies were loaded. Communication systems were synchronized. General Marcus Webb opened a channel to all the human vessels. People of Earth and her colonies. His voice carried across space to every ship. We didn't come here looking for a fight. We came here for justice. A little girl was hurt, and no one cares. A child is dying, and no one will help her. He paused, letting his words sink in. We're going to change that. We're going to show the galaxy that humans protect their own. That when someone hurts our children, there are consequences. On every ship, humans prepared for what might come. They were miners and doctors, merchants and farmers, explorers and engineers. But they were all from Earth, the planet where everything was dangerous and only the strong survived. And someone had hurt one of their children. The Deathworlders were ready. 10 days after Sarah Chen was attacked, the human fleet moved into position around Nexus Station 7. Captain Lisa Webb opened a communication channel to the station's command center. Nexus Station 7. This is Captain Webb of the Earth vessel, Retribution. Her voice was calm but firm. We're here about the assault on Sarah Chen, an 8-year-old human child. We want the officer who hurt her. Give us Zekthul, and we'll leave peacefully. Station Commander Yithrak received the message in his office. He was a reasonable alien who genuinely wanted to avoid conflict. Captain Webb, I understand your concern, but Enforcement Officer Zekthul was performing his lawful duties. The incident is under review by the proper authorities. Lisa's response came immediately. Commander, our child has been dying for 10 days while your proper authorities do nothing. Captain, you must understand. If we simply hand over our security officers because other species demand it, we would have chaos. There are procedures that must be followed. Commander, Lisa said, and her voice carried a coldness that made several aliens in the control room step back from their stations. Let me explain something to you. That little girl you call an incident is one of our children. On Earth, we have a saying, it takes a village to raise a child. But we have another saying, hurt our children, and the whole village comes for you." She paused, letting them see the human ships on their screens. "We are the village." General Marcus Webb took over the communication. "Commander Yithrak, we know you're a decent being. We're not here to hurt innocent people. But that officer committed an act of violence against a defenseless child. In human culture, that cannot go unanswered." Yithrak tried to find a compromise. "General, perhaps we could arrange a formal trial, with proper legal representation and due process?" "No," Marcus replied simply. "Your due process let an alien beat a child unconscious and call it justice. Our child is dying while you play legal games. We're done talking." The communication ended. Within minutes, things began happening around the station. First, the humans politely informed all incoming ships that Nexus Station 7 was temporarily closed to traffic. Trade vessels approaching the station were turned away by human ships. The humans were courteous but firm. No one was allowed to dock. Station traffic controller Pelnix watched his screens in amazement. "Sir, they're not letting anyone through. But they're not attacking or threatening. They just block the way." Next, the station's communication array mysteriously stopped working. Outgoing messages were blocked, though incoming communications worked fine. The humans wanted to make sure the station couldn't call for help, but they still wanted to hear surrender offers. Then the really troubling things began. The station's shields flickered and went offline. Chief Engineer Morkek ran diagnostic after diagnostic, but couldn't find the problem. The shield generators were working perfectly, they just weren't generating shields. "How are they doing this?" Commander Yithrak demanded. "We don't know, sir," Morkek replied, fear in his voice. "It's like they know our systems better than we do." They did know the systems. Dr. Sarah Kim had helped design many of the computers used throughout the Confederation. She was now in the human fleet, using her knowledge to help her people. Life support began having problems next. Not dangerous problems. The humans weren't trying to kill anyone. But temperature control stopped working in non-essential areas. The air recycling system developed annoying noises. Gravity generators created random fluctuations that made people feel sick. "Sir," Security Chief Vextar reported, "they're not attacking us. They're just making us miserable." Captain Webb opened another communication channel. "Commander, how are things going over there? Having any technical difficulties?" "You know exactly what's happening," Yithrak replied with frustration. "Yes, we do. And it's going to get worse until you give us Zekthul. I cannot simply hand over a member of my security force. Then you can sit in the dark with no heat while your station falls apart around you," Lisa replied coldly. Word of what was happening spread through the station quickly. Alien merchants were trapped with no way to leave. Their cargo was spoiling. Their customers were going elsewhere. Every hour the situation continued cost them money. More importantly, other alien species began to worry. If humans would do this for one child, what would they do if something happened to larger groups of humans? The Zenthari delegation sent an urgent message to their homeworld. The humans are not as passive as we believed. By the second day of the blockade, several alien merchants approached Commander Yithrak. "Commander," spoke Merchant Prince Veltaros, a wealthy trader who owned 3 cargo ships, "this situation is becoming expensive. Perhaps the officer in question could be reassigned?" "We cannot bow to these demands," Yithrak insisted. "Commander," said Captain Hicksnall of the Altarian Guard, "I've been watching these humans. They're not going away. And more of their ships arrive every few hours." It was true. Word had spread through human space, and more volunteers kept coming. What had started as 87 ships was now over 120. Mining operations had shut down to send their workers. Colony defense forces had left their posts. Even some official Earth Navy ships had gotten lost. and ended up at Nexus Station 7. On the third day, Zekthul himself demanded a meeting with the commander. "Sir, I request permission to resolve this situation," Zekthul said. "How?" "Let me take a security team to one of their ships. We can capture their leaders and end this nonsense." Commander Yithrak stared at him. "You want to attack them? They are clearly primitive beings acting on emotion rather than logic. A show of force will make them back down." "Zekthul, there are over 100 of their ships out there. Many of them are armed." "They're humans," Zekthul said dismissively. "Weak creatures from a small world. What can they do to us?" What they could do became clear an hour later, when Zekthul left the station with 12 security officers in a patrol craft. They approached the nearest human ship, Tom Bradley's converted mining vessel. "Human vessel, this is station security. Prepare to be boarded for inspection." Tom Bradley's voice came back over the radio, calm and friendly. "Sorry, friend, but we're not interested in visitors right now. You will submit to inspection or face the consequences." "Well now," Tom said, and there was amusement in his voice. "I reckon you boys are about to learn something about consequences." Zekthul's patrol craft suddenly found itself surrounded by human ships. They appeared from nowhere. They had been using stealth systems that the aliens hadn't known existed. "Patrol craft," came a new voice. It was Sergeant Major Torres. "You have two choices. Go back to your station, or we'll show you how humans handle bullies." Zekthul made the worst decision of his life. He ordered his ship to fire on the nearest human vessel. The human response was immediate and overwhelming. The patrol craft's weapons were disabled in seconds. Its engines failed. Its life support was cut to minimum levels. Torres's voice came over the radio again, no longer friendly. "Bad choice, insect." Within minutes, Zekthul and his team were prisoners on a human ship, secured but unharmed. The humans had taken them without killing anyone. But the message was clear. "Commander Yithrak," Captain Webb called the station. "We have your officer now. We're going to have a little talk with him about proper behavior around children." The aliens on Nexus Station 7 began to understand that they were dealing with something they had never encountered before. These humans weren't just angry. They were organized, patient, and absolutely determined. They would not give up. They would not go away. And they would not be intimidated. The Deathworlders had come to collect their due. Zekthul found himself in a holding cell aboard the human ship Retribution. The cell was clean and well lit, but the walls were made of some metal he didn't recognize. He had tried to break out several times, but the material wouldn't even scratch. Two humans stood outside his cell. One was the old soldier called Torres, who watched him with cold, calculating eyes. The other was a younger man, in work clothes, Tom Bradley, the miner. "You know," Tom said in a conversational tone, "I got a little girl about Sarah's age back home. Name's Amy. She likes to draw pictures and chase butterflies." Zekthul said nothing. He was plotting how to escape and return to the station. "Amy fell off her bike last month," Tom continued. "Scraped her knee real bad. Cried for an hour. Nearly broke my heart to see her hurt." Torres stepped closer to the cell. "The difference is, Tom's daughter fell off her bike by accident. Sarah Chen was beaten by a grown creature who should have protected her." "I was enforcing station law," Zekthul said coldly. "You hit an 8-year-old child with a weapon," Torres replied. Captain Lisa Webb entered the holding area. She looked at Zekthul with the kind of expression humans usually reserved for something they scraped off their shoes. "How is she?" Torres asked. "Dr. Harrison finished the surgery an hour ago. The swelling in her brain is going down. She should be okay, but it was close." Another day, and we would have lost her. She looked at Zekthul. "No thanks to anyone on that station." "The young one broke protocol," Zekthul insisted. "Justice was served." Tom Bradley laughed, but there was no humor in it. "She was aggressive and non-compliant. She bumped into you by accident. and said sorry, Torres said quietly. That's aggressive to you? Zekthul straightened up in his cell. I am an officer of the Confederation. You have no authority over me. When this illegal action ends, you will all face severe punishment. Lisa exchanged glances with Torres. Actually, that brings up an interesting point. See, we're not Confederation officers. We're not bound by Confederation law. You're criminals then. Pirates. No, Torres said, his voice getting quieter and more dangerous. We're parents. And you hurt one of our children. What do you intend to do with me? Torres smiled, and Zekthul felt fear for the first time since his capture. It was not a nice smile. We're going to have a conversation about proper behavior. A physical conversation. An hour later, the cargo bay of the Retribution had been cleared of equipment. Word had spread through the human fleet that something was happening. Hundreds of humans crowded around, viewing screens to watch. Elena Chen sat in the medical bay next to Sarah's bed. Her daughter was breathing normally now, her color returning. Doctor, Harrison had worked for 6 hours to repair the damage that 10 days of neglect had made worse. She's going to be fine, Dr. Harrison told Elena. No permanent damage. Children are resilient. Thank you, Elena whispered. I thought I was going to lose her. You're not losing anyone today, the doctor replied. But someone else might learn what that fear feels like. In the cargo bay, Sergeant Major Torres stood in the center of a large circle. He had removed his shirt, showing scars from a dozen battles. His body was compact and muscular, built for violence. Zekthul was brought in wearing simple clothes. The alien stood nearly 3 meters tall, with natural armor plating and 6 arms ending in claws. To any reasonable observer, the fight should have been over before it started. Captain Webb's voice echoed through the ship's communication system. This is for Sarah Chen, and for every human child who might face this situation in the future. The rules are simple, Torres announced to the watching crowd. No weapons, no help from anyone else. We fight until one of us can't continue. Zekthul looked around at the humans watching him. He saw miners and merchants, doctors and engineers. All of them looked at him with the same cold hatred. For the first time, he began to understand what he had done wrong. I accept your challenge, human, he said, trying to sound confident. The fight began immediately. Zekthul rushed forward, using his size and reach to try to end things quickly. His clawed hands swept toward Torres, expecting to knock the small human aside easily. Torres moved like water, flowing around the attack and striking back. His fist connected with Zekthul's armored chest. The alien felt the impact through his natural protection and stepped back in surprise. The humans had been watching fight videos from their homeworld. They knew that their species had evolved differently. On Earth, everything was dangerous. Humans had learned to fight not just to win, but to survive. Zekthul tried again, using all 6 arms to attack from multiple angles. Torres ducked under 2 arms, blocked a third with his forearm, and drove his knee into the alien's midsection. Zekthul doubled over, gasping. You see, Torres said calmly, on Earth, we have predators that could eat your whole species for breakfast. We learned to fight them with our bare hands. Zekthul swung wildly, panic starting to set in. His claws scraped across Torres's shoulder, drawing blood. The human didn't even slow down. Instead, he grabbed one of Zekthul's arms and twisted. The alien screamed as his shoulder joint separated. That's for making Sarah bleed, Torres said. The fight continued for several minutes, but the outcome was never in doubt. Zekthul was stronger and bigger, but Torres fought with the skill of someone who had survived 100 battles. More importantly, he fought with the fury of someone protecting his family. When it was over, Zekthul lay on the floor, conscious but unable to move. Nothing was permanently damaged, but everything hurt. Torres stood over him, barely breathing hard. "Do you understand now?" Torres asked quietly. Zek Thul nodded weakly. "If you ever hurt another human child, we'll come back. And next time, we won't be this gentle." 6 hours later, Zek Thul was returned to Nexus Station 7 along with his security team. The human fleet began to disperse, but not before Captain Webb sent a final message to Commander Yithrok. "Commander, we're leaving now. Sarah Chen is going to recover completely. But I want you to understand something. Every human in the galaxy knows what happened here. They know that when one of our children was hurt, we came. All of us." She paused, letting that sink in. "We're not a violent species, Commander. We don't look for fights. But we finish them when they involve our children. Remember that." "Right. We finish them or fight." "Right." 2 days later, Zekthul was quietly transferred to a desk job on a distant station where he would never encounter humans again. New protocols were established for dealing with human civilians, especially children. Training programs were created to help alien security officers understand human behavior and culture. Most importantly, word spread through the galaxy about what had happened at Nexus Station 7. The story was told in a dozen languages on 100 worlds. The soft humans from the small planet had traveled across space to protect one injured child. Elena Chen and Sarah returned to Earth aboard Dr. Harrison's medical ship. Sarah recovered completely, though she would always have a small scar on her cheek. She often asked her mother about the people who had come to help them. "Why did they come, Mom?" Sarah asked one day, as they sat in their garden on Earth. "Because you're one of us, sweetheart," Elena replied, "and we take care of our own." General Marcus Webb sent a message to all human settlements and ships throughout the galaxy. "Let it be known that human children are under our protection. Anyone who harms them will answer to all of us." The galaxy learned that day that humans might be individually small and soft, but they were collectively something much more dangerous. They were a species that would cross the void itself to protect their young. The Deathworlders had spoken, and the galaxy had listened. From that day forward, alien security forces treated human children with extra care. Not because of regulations or diplomatic pressure, but because they all knew the story of what happened to the officer who forgot that human children had protectors. And those protectors had very long memories.